but God, I do thank you for each one, and Lord, the work you did in their lives at camp, rather it was salvation, Lord, rather it was a rededication, or God, maybe you just challenged them, Lord, to be stronger and more committed in their faith. And so, Lord, I just pray, Lord, that they will bring that excitement and that conviction today, Lord, as they present and talk about maybe just even silly things that we did, Lord, that just really impacted them and the relationships that were built. And God, we just ask you to be with the needs that were mentioned, that are listed in our bulletin. We do ask you to be with each one, God. You know the needs. And God, we just ask you to work in each one. Lord, we look forward to what you're going to do through this service today. And God, we give it to you and we thank you in Jesus' name. Amen.
Good morning. This first song is one that particularly spoke to the youth the week they were away. And after hearing it several times this week, just listening to it myself, it's one that honestly should be our prayer every day of the week, that our hearts will be open to the anticipation and the expectation of what God's going to do that particular day and every hour of that day. So take a listen.
Can y'all tell they're nervous? This is awesome. I love it. So they know anytime I have the chance to embarrass them, I'm going to do it. So that's awesome and amazing. So they're up here, and they weren't expecting to be up here during the singing this morning. But you know, one thing that we talked about camp, and this is going to be informal, but we want to draw the attention back to God, and because we're not able to stand up here experience what we experienced without Him, and we know that without a shadow of a doubt. But they're going to be asked some questions. Some of them are going to be silly questions, okay? Some of them are going to be a little revealing, probably, about maybe even your own child that you didn't know. But who knows? And they're already like hiding up here. But so we had the opportunity July the 21st through the 25th. I'm sorry, June. We're not there in July yet. June the 21st through the 25th. To go to Crossroads Summer Camp, which is through Clayton King Ministries, which is located in Anderson, South Carolina. Now, the last time I had been to Crossroads Camp was probably, I think me and Jenna figured it out, it was around 2017, maybe 2014. I think it was 2014, when she was actually a young person going to camp with me. And so it was the last year they were at Gardner-Webb University, so they moved their whole ministry to Anderson, South Carolina. And so I was familiar with it, but for most of these young people, it was their first time going to youth camp. And so they didn't know what to expect. And so I think one of the first things that we were talking about earlier was they didn't realize there was going to be so many kids. Like, there was over 900 students at camp. And that was the first thing they said, like, wow, we didn't realize there was going to be this many people. And so, well, with that many people, of course, there's a large staff. And a lot of them are summer interns or volunteers that serve through Clayton King Ministries. And that's kind of how they get some of their ministry internship stuff done. But I'm saying all of that because we're going to show you a video, just a little glimpse of camp that we had pictures taken. If you'll notice, though, Missy May is not here. She's traveling, and Jenna's also out of town. And they were both of the female adult leaders that went. And then we're missing, I would say, probably at least 4 or 5 students that went with us as well. So you're going to see some people you might not recognize. When we're done with the video, I'll let each student kind of introduce themselves because there's probably a couple of them that you don't know. And so we want you to be able to know, put a face with a name, know who to pray for, and know who's talking when they talk, okay? And so with that being said, if we can go ahead and show the video that we have. So I'm going to let them introduce themselves first, and we'll start with the young lady on the end. Everybody knows her, but possibly. So you just say your name and then what grade you're going into, and then just pass it. Okay.
I'm Cole. This is Hannah.
Make sure it's on. Let's see.
I'm loud enough.
No, you're not. Now try it.
I'm Cole, and I'm going into 8th grade.
I'm Kinley and I'm going to 7th grade.
I'm Trevor and I'm going to 7th grade.
I'm Tyler, and I'm going into 7th grade.
I'm Garrett and I'm going into my junior year.
I'm Bailey and I'm going into 8th grade. I'm Morgan, I'm going to 10th grade. I'm Maddie, I'm going to be a sophomore. I'm Aisha, I'm going to 8th grade.
What'd you say, Aisha?
I'm going to 8th grade.
You'll figure out quickly, Aisha is our comedian, and she keeps us laughing quite often. So I'm going to start by asking some questions. Y'all can pass that mic all the way back down to the other. Make sure that one's unmuted there, Maddie. Just hit that button, yeah. All right, now. Maddie says she's a professional. So first question I'm going to ask them, how's the food at camp?
It was delicious.
It really was delicious, huh? So you guys know as well as I do that, you know, the first thing that they ask typically is, what kind of rooms are we staying in and how's the food? Those are typically the first two questions that you get asked. Anything else about the food?
It was the same almost every single day.
Garrett, what'd you think?
It was sort of like school food almost.
Morgan. Morgan liked the salad bar, didn't you, Morgan? Cold, hard-boiled eggs. Morgan does not like cold food, by the way, just so any of you know that. I'm sharing that because Maddie, what'd you think?
It was pretty good. I like the salad bar and yeah, they had the same stuff every day, just ate the same stuff every day.
Now, we had one that actually ate pizza every meal, I think. Jackson, wasn't it? Jackson ate pizza every meal, except breakfast, but lunch and dinner, pizza. Like, that was his thing. Now, it was, I guess the food, though, if you changed it up, which most of you don't do, they did have barbecue and stuff like that, but most of you ate like cheeseburgers, chicken, and pizza. Those are like the three things. Aisha ate ice cream for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Okay, that's interesting. I didn't know that, Aisha. That's a little different for you, isn't it? Yeah. All right, next question I have for you. What was your favorite thing about camp and why? And guys, make sure you get a microphone so everybody can hear you, okay? What was your favorite thing about camp and why? Go ahead. I want everybody to give an answer on this one. It can be something.
I'd say the soccer tournament.
All right, the soccer tournament. Can we explain the soccer tournament a little bit? Be nice about us, okay? Don't be rude.
Well, we lost pretty much every game. But it was super fun to see everybody having fun.
Okay, so we lost every game, but it was super fun. That's kind of hard to believe, right?
I like solid to your mouth.
There you go.
My favorite part was the soccer tournament and the color war. I liked the soccer tournament because like everyone was competitive, but everyone still had fun. Especially some people were very competitive. But I like the color war because I don't know, it was just really fun.
The quad. There was this area called the quad, and it had like tetherball, gaga ball, volleyball, other activities. And me, Jackson, and Tyler, and sometimes Garrett and them would all go down after lunch or breakfast. I can't remember. But we would just stay there until we stayed there until lunch, and then did something after lunch, like group activity, like the soccer tournament. But yeah, hanging out at the quad was the best part probably.
For me, it was also probably the quad because you were really never bored there.
These answers are unscripted, I promise, okay? Aisha, what was your favorite part about camp? Besides Harry Potter.
My favorite part was
Bailey, Gaga Ball, and soccer. I like Gaga Ball because I like competing, and I like soccer because I like losing sometimes, you know.
Let me just say this about Asia, okay? Now, when we were playing soccer, you couldn't tell that we were losing. Like, we had so much enthusiasm. We were cheering for each other. It was exciting. Like, we made it exciting. And going into it, we saw young men and young ladies pulling out soccer cleats and shin guards. Here we are with Crocs on. And, we're like, what did we sign up for at this point? And our team name was, I don't know. That was really the IDKs, that was our team name. And so it was interesting, though, because Aisha's probably never played a day of soccer in her life. And she trips this little boy. And he goes down, and he's acting like you know how they do it in soccer, like they lay down like they're dead. And he's like, come on, ref, come on. Aisha looks over and goes, you need to toughen up. And from there on, those two proceeded to talk junk to each other the rest of the time. But we really did have a great time playing soccer. I will say that. And going into it, I warned these guys. I was like, guys, there's going to be some guys out there and girls that play soccer. Like, we're out there just there. And Bailey did score a goal. Bailey, you want to tell them about your goal? What'd you say, Trevor?
I said backwards.
In the other teams. Bailey, we had to show that, okay? We had to. But we did hold our own. We only lost by 1 goal twice, right? And we were like, we're done. Next question. What surprised you most about camp? What surprised you most about camp?
The concerts at the beginning of service.
The concerts at the
I
beginning.
didn't realize it was going to be that, like, it seemed kind of like a concert.
Yeah, like lively, like
Yeah.
They're trying to wake you up, man.
I'd say the amount of people there. There was a lot of people there.
Yeah.
The thing that surprised me most was the amount of people that got saved, and like just overall how excited and pumped everyone was. Like all the counselors and group members.
I would say how many people there was and how many games they had, activities they did.
Yeah, they had a lot of activities that would fill our day, and you could sign up. I think one day you saw a picture. We did line dancing, and I'm a professional, just to let y'all know. But we also did couples dancing, didn't we, Garrett? That was amazing. And also, yes, we were a couple for that dance, okay? No shame there. But we did, what else? Dodgeball. You saw dodgeball. We won 2 games in dodgeball, so we weren't winless the whole week, right? But they had lots of activities. You heard the guys talking about quad. Quad was something they offered to help you not be on your phones the whole time, they were just trying to get them unplugged, get out there and meet new people. And the guys and the young ladies really enjoyed that. Bailey tore her knuckles up on Gaga Ball. And we had to fill out an incident report, right, Bailey?
Okay, I'm just gonna say this real quick. They make it sound like, they make it sound like it wasn't painful. Like, oh, she just got an incident report. It's not that big of a deal. It hurt. Like, you could see my flesh.
We love giving each other a hard time. We really do. So, man.
What surprised me most? Well, I've never been to a camp. It was like on a college campus, so we were staying in some of the dorms. Well, our group of girls stayed in the basement floor or something. And I was surprised by how cold it was down there. And I conveniently forgot to bring like any sort of blanket. I only brought sheets. So, and it was freezing. We didn't have any way to change the temperature. Morgan forgot hers too, but her sister gave her a blanket. So in the middle of the night, I grabbed Morgan's extra sheet, I grabbed my sheet, I grabbed like a towel I had been using, I put socks on, I put like a jacket, some jackets on, anything I could find, and I like bundled up, like trying to get as warm as possible. It was freezing.
Tyler, did you forget anything?
I forgot my covers, and then Garrett turned the temperature down to 66 degrees.
And then Tyler used an Elsa blanket on me. So, raise your hand if you forgot something for camp. Yeah. And so we had like 4 or 5 that forgot things, and Missy May like takes the whole house. And Terry's like, you see what I've been living with for like 28 years, you know. And she came, and JD can tell you, we were pulling stuff out of her car just to leave, like one thing after another. And I'm like, Missy, does this ever end? She's like, no, hold on, one more thing. You know, it was always one more thing. But she had a blanket, and then Aisha had to borrow things from her sister. Thankfully, I won't tell them what you forgot. But and then Maddie was borrowing things from other people. And who did you raise your hand, Bailey?
No, but one thing when I hurt my knuckles, just be quiet, okay? One thing when I hurt my knuckles, I was like, man, I don't know what to do. And this was like, oh, I got some Neosporin, I got some hydrogen peroxide, I got some alcohol, I got some extra large Band-Aids, I have some small Band-Aids, and I was like, how do you have all this stuff?
Missy had all that. Yeah, Missy had it all. And then, anybody else, anything surprising that surprised you about camp? Oh, Maddie's got it.
You know what? That surprised me too. Missy May, she did bring so many bags, but no one could get mad at her for it because she covered everyone. I forgot like tennis shoes, so I wasn't gonna be able to play, but she had that. She got like notes to put up like little Bible verses around the dorm for our 4-night stay, for it to be decorated. She invited the staff. She brought a yoga mat to play on. She brought like socks, everything. She had everything.
Yeah, I think we'd have been in trouble without Missy. Don't let her know that, okay? Because see, that's why I bring everything. You know how happy she is when she says that. And Missy's like on 100, and we're like on 25 trying to get there in the morning. So, but Missy had us covered though. Anybody else? Anything? Oh, Bailey?
Sorry, last thing.
Not anything about knuckles.
No, fun fact about my roommate. Her name's Madison. She's not here today, but I didn't know this. But when she went to sleep, I just heard her talking, and I just kept asking her like Madison, and like she was just like kept talking about random things. I don't know, and that's one thing I didn't know about her. I didn't know she talked in her sleep. So
There are things, and we're going to talk about that here in a second. But we can actually go ahead and ask, is there something you learned about your roommate that you didn't know that surprised you?
Jackson sleep talks, which I already knew, but he snores. I didn't know he snores. And that kid moves a lot in his bed.
Jackson's
He
not
gets
here
in
to
some
defend
weird
himself.
positions when he's in the bed, just dead asleep, snoring away. I had an alarm. It went off. He's still just there snoring, and I turned it up even louder because I didn't want to like shake him or anything. And he's still there, just. And so I finally go over there and I start shaking him. Why? He's super tired and everything. I'm like, you slept past my alarm snoring. And he's like, no, I didn't. He doesn't even know he snores. He still doesn't believe me.
Most people
I believe
don't,
me now, I
Trevor.
can't remember.
Most people don't. I never snore.
But anyway.
Garrett, what about your roommate?
Well, Xavion snores really loud, like surprisingly loud. I can hear him in the other room. And for somebody that sleeps so well, he cannot stay awake for a service. Like, he would always fall asleep like the last 15 minutes of the service. And I'd offer him like $20 to stay awake for a whole service, and he could not do it. $20, easiest $20 he could. And he couldn't do it for one service.
So Aisha lays down at the worst time possible, and like 5 minutes later, Miss Missy May wants to do some sort of devotion, a new devotion on top of like the 4 other devotions we have. And I'd go in there, and I'd be like, Aisha, get up, Miss Missy May wants to see us in her room. And then we'd just all be gathered around her bed, and I'd be like, where's Aisha? And she wouldn't be there.
Well, one thing I learned about my roommate is that she's kind of reliable. She'd be like, come on, Aisha, it's 8 o'clock in the morning, go take a shower, go get dressed. Aisha, come on, we gotta do this. Aisha, come on, we gotta do that. And I really wanted to sleep, but you know, we had to, so I can count on her though.
Oh, you got one, Maddie?
Yeah, I'll say Morgan was my roommate, and we've been roommates before, but I'll say that she's a lot more organized than I am and responsible. So she has like all our schedules from now on. She keeps like all our keys, because this is the second trip that I've lost my keys. And she kept our schedules. Whenever I fell asleep in the morning, she'd wake me up at 7 and be like, okay, Maddie, you want to take a shower? And then we're gonna go on a walk, and then we're gonna go get breakfast. And if I took a nap, she'd wake me up. But she had everything together, so.
Maddie liked to sleep a lot. She slept every time we had a break.
So, in case you didn't get it, Cole and Aisha were roommates. Kinley and Sydney, Trevor and Jackson, Tyler and Garrett, and Bailey and Madison, and Morgan and Maddie. So when they're talking about their roommates, that's who they're talking about. But Xavion and Caden shared a bathroom in an adjoining room, and they could hear Xavion snoring in their room through the bathroom. So that's how loud he snored. But what is something, how many of you is your first time going to camp? So half our group was first time going to camp. What's something that maybe surprised you about camp that you were, other than the people? I think we've talked about that.
How many activities there were? There was a lot.
So let me get this right. So you guys going to camp for the first time, you don't really know what to expect, right? So you're thinking, I'm going to go to camp, we're going to go worship, we're going to do Bible study, and then we're going to do maybe an activity. And so, that's one thing that I do like about Crossroads Campus. They give you all kinds of things to choose from. We had line dancing. I was coloring a picture while the girls were making dream catchers or something. They had a craft area. They had a music thing. I think Garrett and his crew went and checked out the Jam Lounge, and so there was all kinds of things. So I think that is good, because then you're not bored and you're not tempted to do other things, I guess, like your phones and stuff like that. But
And you can pretty much go anywhere you want, as long as you're not by yourself.
yeah, not by yourself, right? You said that, right?
One thing that surprised me was how big it was. It was very big. I got lost a lot. I was late a lot. It's just a big place, and finally, when it was time to leave, the last day, I finally figured everything out. By then, I was like, now I'm leaving. I just memorized all this for nothing. So.
Okay, yeah, the place was big. I got lost a little bit, and so before we went on a trip, me and my sister downloaded this app where we can track each other. So I tracked her phone and went to where she was, and she was in where to do service, and I texted her on the app, even though I could just text her regularly, but I texted her I was like, where are you? Cause I didn't know, and she was like, go to the service, Aisha. I was like, okay, cause Bailey left me, and no, you left me this time, and I couldn't see you. But when I went there, turns out Bailey was behind me. So I kind of left her, but still.
Bailey left you, but you kind of left her. That's what I got. All right, so what would you tell somebody who's thinking about going to camp? What would you tell them to encourage them to go?
That it's so much fun just to do it. I don't know. It's like it depends on the camp. Like Crossroads is just so energetic, and there's just everything's positive there, and you're never bored.
You barely sleep with Miss Missy May as your counselor, or whatever you want to call it. You never sleep.
We're trying to encourage people to go.
Well, just don't take Missy May and expect to get any sleep.
I would say, especially like in the summer, you might not be doing anything else. That's what I was doing. And you should definitely go and bring a friend, and because it's really fun and you can play a lot. It's like a lot of different activities you can do all the time, and then you can have worship too, which is nice.
I think it was pretty fun, cause it's just pretty fun because the people there, just some random kids start walking by, and I just start talking to them about random stuff, like about the food that they were holding and how the sun was nice, and they thought it was funny, and this girl came around and took a picture of me with some sunglasses on. I didn't even know her name, but she just left after that, so it's pretty fun. And pack your stuff, all your stuff, and some deodorant, please.
Not saying she forgot her deodorant.
I would tell someone that you will never be bored. There's too much to do for you to be bored unless you just refuse to do anything. If you're bored, that's your own fault.
That's exactly what I was going to say. So you're going to get out of camp what you put into camp, right? So if you go with a poor attitude, or you're going to try to keep to yourself and woe is me, then that's what you're going to get from camp, right? But I would say for the majority of our group, if I could say this, you got a glimpse of it during the soccer tournament, that how encouraging that, even though they're hard on each other, they love each other, they care about each other, and they encourage each other. And it was really neat to see, like, Garrett, who's going to be a junior in high school, right? That sounds crazy, right? Hanging out with Trevor, who's going to be in 7th grade, right? And it's just really neat to see that relationship with our young people, because it's not something we normally get to see here. We see them getting along, but we don't see them hanging out and doing things with them. And I think because of that, camp has allowed you guys to even, talk more, or even, go and hang out a little bit, or, grab ice cream or whatever it may be. Camp has allowed you to do that. And it's hard to explain to people, what camp does. Did you have something else, Angel?
Something to keep in mind if you want to go. Don't go with a bad attitude, because you won't make any friends. And if you have siblings going, don't count on them, because when you go somewhere, your siblings want to break from you. Because mine told me, don't talk to her, don't hang out with her, don't look at her. You said that at home. She said don't look at her, and so I had to make some friends. #Bailey. So yeah, make sure you bring somebody with you, or make some friends so you can't have a bad attitude.
Those are wise words. Morgan, you ought to be ashamed of yourself. No, I'm just kidding.
I didn't say that. That was all her. She made up in her mind.
Okay, guys, we'll have to have this conversation later. Okay. Did you have something, Bailey? All right, go ahead.
I'm sorry, I'm talking so much, but
No, you're fine.
There's a lot of hills there, so you'll get lots of exercise. But another great thing about it was go to just bond with your youth group. And again, Aisha, I made a new friend because we were kind of forced to hang out together, and then we bonded. So I think that was a good thing. friends.
Yeah, absolutely. I would say, I think I appreciate you guys saying that because, you know, next year, it's going to be hard to believe, but Lucy gets to go with us next year. She'll be going into 6th grade the year we get to go, and I want her to have students like you that are going to love on her and look after her where I don't have to. Does that make sense? And you guys did a great job this week or at camp doing that for each other. Like I do feel like that. I felt like we didn't have hardly any issues. You know, I'll take scraped knuckles if that's the only issue I gotta have, you know, or forgetting things. But look what happened. Your roommates or your youth group rallied around you, even Missy May, and provided things for you guys. And that's what we're supposed to do as a church, right? As a church, that's what we're supposed to do for each other is if they have a need, then I'm supposed to try and meet that need, even if it costs me something. And so I really just think you guys were a great example of the church that we, not just FBC, but the church as a whole. And that's really what I saw. And I told you guys, like, I didn't know what to think about camp, but coming away from it, I needed camp. I needed to see you guys, to spend time with you guys. And to me, that was exactly what I needed and why God had me there. But I do have a couple more questions and then we'll finish up. What do you think impacted you the most about camp? You know, what impact did camp have on you for the last 2 weeks? Has it made you think about things differently? You know, your relationship with Christ, you know, where you at?
It's definitely been a refresher to let me know, like a reminder of how lucky I am to have God in my life. Like it plays a big part in my life, and I didn't realize how much it did because when you miss like one Sunday, then you realize how much you miss it and you need it. So I think that a whole week of just focusing on God, just it helped me a lot, like realize that. So.
Camp helped me realize some of the things I'm doing that I need to fix, and it just really helped me and remind me of some things I need to fix.
Camp was, well, it made me keep like, now I'm keeping like the other people in our youth group in mind, and like, it was like a reminder to pray more and to like, read more into my Bible and like the sermons and stuff. I would think about that or like, Bible journaling or something like that.
Camp had a really big impact because it got me closer with God because, you know, I usually focus on stuff that really doesn't matter. Like, I know reading matters, but not as much as God and, you know, playing outside and stuff. But the thing about the camp that we went to, you know how we're kids and we don't have a long attention span? I like how we had fun while learning about Jesus. And so I think it made us learn more and get closer at the same time where we can share with other people and we talk about what happened at the service.
Kinley?
I got saved during camp.
I've actually got saved for the second time. I know it sounds kind of weird, but a few years ago during VBS, I can't remember what grade I was in, but the other kids were dancing with Missy, and JD took me into that back room, and we prayed, and I had gotten saved. And then during camp, I felt the need to do that again. Everybody, he said, close your eyes, raise your hand, and stand up if you feel the need that you need to be saved. And if I'm being totally honest, it kind of seemed like the whole room went quiet then. And like nothing really mattered at that point except standing up. Like I was scared at first, but then I just stood up and he started preaching and praying, and I felt good. And then we eventually opened our eyes, and 115 people that first time had gotten saved. Me and Jackson. So that was cool. McKinley, as he said. So yeah.
I also got saved the first night, and it was a whole experience that was awesome. And what was cool is it was not just you. Like, it wasn't just you in, like, a place with, like, less than 15 people. Like, it was over probably 900 people in that room, and it was just amazing, the feeling I got.
As you guys think, you know, because we had some hard conversations when we got back. Every night after worship, we'd go back and have church group time, and we had some hard conversations about, you know, what does it look like to be saved, you know. And that whole week, they talked to us as a group, as a whole, about salvation, about being committed, about living by faith, and then about possibly recognizing a call to ministry if that's what God was doing in your life. And so, you know, the one thing that I talked to them about was we wrote on the board life without Christ and life with Christ. And what does life without Christ look like? What does life with Christ look like? And should we not be striving to live a life with Christ? And I challenge, it didn't matter if it was a first-time commitment, because we actually had 8 students in our group who stood up either to accept Christ or even rededicate their lives to Christ because they just felt like something wasn't right. And to see that and to, you know, hear them say it out loud, that's the first time I've heard them say it out loud. I saw them stand up. I saw them raise their hands. But for them to verbalize it, and that's something that we talked about even as up to this last Wednesday, about being, when you get saved, you love the things of God. Does that make sense? When you get saved, you love the things of God. You love to worship. You love to pray. You love to read His Word. And this is what I'm challenging them with. It's my job, it's our job to disciple all of them. You know, and so I feel very convicted about that with them, you know, to help them develop their relationship with Christ, because they go out into the school or go out into the world and they're bombarded with so many different things that cause them to question or cause them to doubt where they're at in Christ. And we've got to do a better job at convincing them or loving on them or showing them what living a life of Christ looks like. And that's what I'm convicted about. And to hear them say that out loud, you know, for us as a church, we got to love the things of God. Like, no matter if it's what we would choose or not choose, if it's of God, then we love it because we love Him. And that's something I want them to understand. You know, yes, some of them didn't necessarily look forward to getting up and singing every time, 3 or 4 songs. But it's of God. And if we love God and this is worship to God, then we should enjoy it. And that's something that we talked about as well. The last question, and you guys kind of already addressed it, but maybe some of you, what is something God is doing in your life through camp? Like, what did He do at camp, or what is He still doing in your life? And that's kind of what they did, but it's the last question. So what do you feel like God is doing in your, if you haven't said anything, I would like for you to kind of maybe share, because there's a couple others up here I know that stood up or, you know, different things, but what is God doing in your life?
So I think he made me nicer because I used to be, well, I still am sometimes. I was very mean, and you know, you did something to me, I was gonna get you back, or if you said something to me, I was gonna say something back. So, cause when somebody called me a mean name at the church, my first urge was to punch them in the face, but okay, I know that's a little violent, but I would have did it. But then I was like, what, church camp? It's supposed to be happy, no violence. So I didn't punch him in his face. I just left it alone. And you know, people were mean at the church, I did think sometimes, but I was still nice, and I didn't say nothing. I didn't call them a name either. I didn't hurt them, and you know, and I was just nice, you know, like God working on me.
Definitely, God's working in my life by finding new friends, like filtering out friends. I have a new one now. I got never mind. That was just a stutter of words, but he's definitely, and just like I said earlier, a refresher, like just a whole week of God.
Well, I definitely enjoyed seeing my friends get closer to the Lord and my fellow youth. Seeing other people get closer made me think about my relationship, and camp definitely made me want to draw closer to Him and get a better relationship with the Lord. So, but I did enjoy seeing my friends get closer.
It's kind of like what Bailey said. I got rid of some of my friends. But this, I don't think it was because of camp, but just the way I was just thinking about God, because I went to school for my tests, and I didn't talk to my old friends because, you know, they cuss and stuff, and I didn't talk to them. Like, I just left them alone, and when they saw me leaving them alone, they didn't want to talk to me no more. But I was okay with that because I made some new friends at school in a 1-day period. And yeah, like, don't settle for less.
Fun fact, during every service, I'm not scared to admit this, but I was like tearing up almost every service. I found them really nice.
Okay, I thought you were going to say something. Morgan? I will say this, Morgan is probably not going to talk while she's up here, but Morgan is very intelligent and has lots of wisdom. And so when she does talk, everybody listens because she doesn't talk a whole lot. But me and Morgan, we fought over the salad bar all the time. Like, she would stalk me and tell me what not to put in my bowl and what to put in my bowl. And, but no, Morgan, you know, I feel like God is, it was just nice to see them away. They could smile, have fun, and they have a lot of responsibilities at home, and they're able to just come and be young people. And I think that was, for me, was cool. But also, at one of our church group times, I looked around the room, and I told each of them how they got to camp. Like, people poured into them to get them to camp. People forced them to come to camp. You know, and they'll tell you, my mama made me, you know, but guess what? God still uses that time to work in your life. Even though mama made you, God did a difference in your life. And that's, you know, so as I think about that, I want to share this scripture with you. This is from camp. It's in Acts chapter 8, it says, "And Saul was there, giving approval to the death of Stephen. On that day, a great persecution broke out against the church at Jerusalem, and all except the apostles were scattered throughout Judea and Samaria. Godly men buried Stephen and mourned deeply for him, but Saul began to destroy the church. Going from house to house, he dragged off men and women and put them to prison." Verse 4, "Those who had been scattered preached the word wherever they went." See, we don't always get to choose our circumstances. but God can use those circumstances for His glory. And I feel like God used camp for me and also for these young people, regardless of the circumstance, regardless if somebody knocked on their door and said, hey, I want to send you to youth camp. Or, you know, they had a hard conversation with me about camp, or whatever it might have been. God used that to work in their life. And even though sometimes we get distracted by all the things of this world, God still wants to use us if we're obedient and willing to allow Him to do that. And so I hope what you guys hear from them is that it's not camp that had an impact, but it's that God had an impact through camp. And that's my prayer, is that we understand the impact by sending a kid to camp, by spending a little bit of money, that God changes lives through that. And that's my prayer for us as a church, as believers. And we got new believers. How about that?